Hi, today we're going to talk about Keystone propaganda terms and argumentative appeals. Propaganda, or the art of persuasion, is the spreading of ideas, information, or rumor for the purpose of helping or injuring an institution, cause, or person. Propaganda is intended to make people accept or approve of something without looking closely at the evidence. Most of the propaganda devices utilize emotion and avoid critical thinking, and stereotypes are at the heart of all propaganda efforts. Please feel free to pause the video if you need more time. The first one we're going to discuss is pinpointing the enemy. The purpose of this technique is to create the perception that our actions are always ethical and honorable, while those of our opponents are always unethical and dishonorable. You'll see this one a lot in politics. So when doing this, sometimes they use this type of propaganda to dehumanize people. I really like these memes right here: unsportsmanlike conduct, categorizing opponents as inherently evil or less than human. That is definitely pinpointing the enemy. Godwin's law violation, too many Hitlers on the field. A lot of times we try to compare people to Hitler persona onto the other side. Testimonial, the use of well-known, respected people to endorse a product, service, or idea. There's a connection to ethos here. So if the person is not somebody society views as ethical, then we tend to discount their testimony for the reliability or the value of whatever it is. For example, when Subway had somebody endorsing them, even though it was more of a plain folks endorsement, when that person was arrested, they no longer used that person because they didn't have the respect to sell the product. So sometimes this is used to say that a historical figure shared the same perspective on topics. We invoke religious figures, we invoke political figures, founding fathers, in order to support our point of view, which isn't necessarily true. Plain folks, the use of everyday people to sell a product or service. Speakers and ads appear to make the person to be one of the people. And I really like this advertisement right here, because a lot of political ads will try to portray the politician as somebody just like them. So here we have Obama, and he's in a striped shirt, not a one color shirt, blue shirt or white shirt. He's in a striped shirt, the sleeves are rolled up. He's playing basketball in front of a group of kids. You don't see any Secret Service or any political signs anywhere. He's just a guy shooting hoops with a bunch of kids. Then we have glittering generalities, the act of referring to words or ideas that invoke a positive emotional response from an audience. Here you have creamy, dreamy, icy, chocolatey, McDonald's mochas, and a really nice picture to go with it to kind of capture your attention. Virtue words are often used for these. Sometimes we use buzzwords. So here it's a player used meaningless jargon instead of an actual argument. We also have name calling, the use of names or terms that evoke fear or hatred in the viewer. This technique links a person or idea to a negative symbol. It's the opposite of glittering generalities. So here we have glittering generalities in this example, where you have Obama with hope, and the opposing side used this one. They changed his face, they got rid of the blue kind of here, and they labeled him a snob. It's an elitist thing you wouldn't understand. I believe that's because he taught at an Ivy League school. And it's also called an ad hominem attack. Personal foul, attack the opponent instead of his argument. Then we have transfer, the act of relating something or someone we like or respect with a product. You can view this as testimonial or plain folks. But here we have symbols in this form of propaganda. So you have the Jolly Green Giant. A lot of advertising took products that you couldn't have a relationship with, like cereal, and they added little mascots to try to make the product more appealing, more approachable, especially with kids. So attempting to link 2 points that have nothing to do with each other. And bandwagon, one of the most popular, most well-known propaganda techniques, attempts to persuade the target audience to take a course of action everyone else is taking, join the crowd. This technique reinforces people's natural desire to be on the winning side. Here we have a poster to try to get people to carpool to work in order to save on gas so that they could use the gas overseas. Help win the war, squeeze in one more. Agreeing with a bunch of people who are wrong makes you just as wrong. And card stacking, a strategy of showing the product's best features, telling half-truths, and omitting or lying about its potential problems. And here we have a smoking advertisement. During the summer season of extra smoking, begin enjoying the cigarette of extra smokers. Everyone can afford the coolness, the true mildness, the ripe, delicate taste and fragrance of smoking pleasure at its best. More smoking for your money. And obviously, this is card stacking. It's not mentioning any of the side effects or cancer potential in cigarettes. Omitting relevant facts detrimental to their argument. That's also called cherry picking. One of my favorites, red herring, is an attempt to distract people with details not relevant to the argument. Here we have a quote from Tupac. They got money for wars, but they can't feed the poor. Those are two separate things. And it seems like they're related because they both have to do with money, but they're two different programs, two different ideas. So, what the heck does this have to do with anything? And attack the opponent's grammar or spelling instead of their argument. So, pointing out the wrong things. Here is emotional appeal. This strategy tries to persuade the reader by using words that appeal to people's emotions instead of logic or reason. This includes pathos, which, empathy, sympathy, apathy. It says every dog has its off day. That's why there's a new, softer, thicker, brawny. So if you want to sell something, just put a dog on it, a puppy on it, and it will sell. This is emotional appeal. Illegal appeal to pity. You have our sympathy, but you haven't made a valid argument. Okay, so our next form of propaganda is repetition. This attempts to persuade people by repeating a message over and over again. A lot of times you'll see this with political signs on the side of the road where they just have the last name of the politician, and that repetition will get into people's heads, and they tend to vote for names that they recognize. And sometimes with songs, repeating something over and over again. We heard you the first few dozen times. You don't need to say it again. Then we have sweeping generalizations, also known as stereotyping. It makes an oversimplified statement about a group based on limited information. The sign here says the opponent has drawn expansive conclusions based on inadequate or insufficient evidence. Sometimes people will believe something because of their biases. And so making sweeping generalizations isn't too hard for a lot of arguments. Offense attempted to make a conclusion about the whole through a single example. Sometimes it's somebody's personal experience where they have one single experience, and they base all their conclusions on that one experience. Personal experiences are not proof, point invalid. Then we have the circular argument. And this one's a little bit difficult for students to understand. This technique states a conclusion as part of the proof of the argument. No one ever goes into this restaurant because it's always crowded. It would be a circular argument. Just because that's the way we always did it doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. Appeal to numbers, facts, or statistics. You would think that this would be a good argumentative way to go, but sometimes those facts and statistics can be twisted. Showing how many people think something is true may make it true, maybe not. So here we have 97% of published climate papers agree global warming is happening and we are the cause. We don't know what sample they're taking that from. And if you're looking at people's opinions, again, opinions aren't facts and real statistics. Can't dismiss an argument without proof. Touchdown stands. And that's the end.